Arlene Foster is the new heroine of Brexit because her intervention was extremely important.
So we put more faith then in Arlene Foster than Theresa May, do we?
Well, it seemed a most extraordinary state of affairs. I don't think that set of words could have survived within the Conservative Party, and the government's official view is that they hadn't agreed it, and they seem to be indicating that the Irish Prime Minister is rather overstating the position. And I'm happy to give Mrs May the benefit of the doubt on that. If it's choice between believing the British Prime Minister or the Irish Prime Minister, I'll back the British Prime Minister.
Well, that's well and good you saying that, but I detected from the tone of your question today that you feel there is significant slippage. And let's face it, Jacob, whether it comes to the role of the European Court of Justice, whether it comes to this astonishing Brexit bill that apparently this government is preparing to pay, whether it comes to equivalence of laws, now not just for Northern Ireland, but for the whole of the United Kingdom. I mean, isn't the Brexit that you and I campaign for with such passion and vigour, isn't it, under this Prime Minister, beginning to slip away?
Well, I was very encouraged by the Prime Minister's response to my question that she stood by the Lancaster House speech, which is very clear on all those points that you raise. It's clear on the European Court, and that is a worry I share with you. It's clear on money, and it's clear on being out of the single market and the customs union. I'm afraid the Chancellor's comments, which I only heard in full when you broadcast them a moment ago,
yes,
fail to understand the law that the House of Lords, in a very good report in March of this year, set out quite clearly that when we leave under Article 50, if we don't have a specific agreement making provision for money, we owe them nothing under UK, international or EU law. And for the Chancellor to pretend that we owe fictional amounts without having come to an agreement is simply factually wrong. And I cannot understand why a Chancellor, when money is so short, when we have the threat to the Royal Marines, when the newspapers have been saying the army may go down to 50,000, when the NHS needs money, that he should be saying, well, we'll give them 40 billion because we committed to in a previous life. I thought that was a very deeply disappointing comment.
Yes, no, and I'd agree with that totally. In fact, wholly irresponsible with taxpayers' money without any need to do so. No, I completely understand that. But Jacob, you're a very loyal party man, and I understand that. But it does seem to me that when Theresa May gets up at the Lancaster House speech, or whether she gets up at the Commons today, she parrots out these lines that she's probably been told in her briefing is what she has to say. But then her actions outside of these set-piece debates do appear to be very different indeed. And given that you raised this concept earlier on today, when it comes to this Brexit settlement, and bear in mind that they're trying to get some form of agreement ahead of all the heads of Europe meeting on the 14th and 15th of December next week, what are your red lines?
My reddest of red lines is always the European Court of Justice, because it seems to me that as long as we remain under the European Court of Justice, we haven't left the European Union. That if we accept, which I think would be a huge error, regulatory alignment, at least if we're outside the ECJ, we would then be able to change that later. So that the reddest of red lines is the ECJ. I'm very deeply concerned about regulatory alignment because that denies us one of the great benefits of leaving. But it is a secondary red line to the ECJ.